Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the November 4th, 2013 City Council meeting to order. And first on our agenda is Reese Glassen from Stillwater Middle School will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Reese?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Reese, appreciate you being here tonight with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Reese Glassen. I'm a 7th grade student at the Stillwater Middle School. I like to play golf, and I play in a traveling baseball team, Stillwater Fire. And my favorite subject is language arts. I love to write stuff, no matter what it is. That's about it.
That's fun. That's fun. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank
Got a
you.
little something here as a thank you.
Thanks, Reese.
Okay. Going to take us down to the consent docket. I guess I should point out that Counselor Scott is not here tonight. Consent agenda. On the consent docket, we have items A through D. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent docket?
I'd like to have C removed just to bring us up, tell me a little bit more about it.
Okay.
I'm not against it,
Let's pull C off. Anything else? Okay. Is there a motion on items on the consent docket less item C?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve consent docket less item C. And that is approved 4-0. And that'll take us down to item C on the consent dockets. Ms. Dennison.
Good evening, Paula Dennison, Development Services. What this item is anytime there is private use of a public way, in this case, the right-of-way of Main Street, South Main Street, it comes before the City Council for approval. This particular use of Main Street right-of-way is for the overhanging of New Orleans-style balconies in a building downtown, 700 block of downtown. It's going to be rehabbed as residential living on the second floor. It'll maintain commercial on the first floor. And that overhang of the balconies, the roof structure over the balconies, as well as the support post for those balconies will all be within the public right-of-way.
So it will be supported with posts from the sidewalk then?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
That's what I was afraid of.
Now, other agreements like this that we've done recently, I can remember Zanotti's and Brooklyn's.
Yes.
Those other good examples of items like this.
They are. There are continuing to be more of a permanent structure type facilities in the rights of way in the downtown area because of the encouragement in the bid district in particular for the outdoor seating, outdoor type venues. This just goes along with that the City Council had adopted a number of years ago when the bid came into play.
We originally started those with more portable, less permanent. I think probably one of the earliest was back when Cafe Bella was still in operation at that
Yes.
time, and it was outdoor seating. And then later we had allowed it in front of Louis. And then since then, they've taken on a more permanent nature, but again, very appropriate for the style of development that's happening in the downtown.
The outdoor seating doesn't bother me at all. But I was a little bit concerned when we started approving blanketly of putting support for balconies and roofs on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Well, it's still, I think the criteria still requires to maintain minimum widths on the sidewalk for pedestrian traffic, for handicapped access as well. We do not approve anything that will inhibit ADA access or transport on the sidewalks. So
But the
we do
space
take
on
that.
the sidewalk will still be the same width.
Yes,
Yes,
Just has a post fixed to the ground.
correct. There will be maintained the continuous 6 foot of width is our expectation downtown. That exceeds the minimum that ADA requires. But downtown, we have established the 6 foot continuance of width, and that will be maintained outside of the support post.
And we're not giving up the space under the balcony or the roof.
no.
No, sir.
I mean, that's still public way.
Yes, sir.
This kind of has the same impact as when we've put bike racks on the sidewalks.
Similarly,
I mean, it's the same, it's no longer just wide open.
there's something there that you need to get around. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion on what was item C from the consent docket?
I move acceptance.
Second?
Motion and second on item C. And it is approved 4-0. That'll take us down to public hearings, and the first item, there was a memo to postpone. What date did you want it postponed to?
The 18th,
The
please,
18th.
the next meeting.
Okay, is there a motion to postpone this item to the November 18th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to postpone public hearing A to November 18th. And that's approved 4-0. And that takes us down to the second public hearing. Receive public comments regarding a proposed text amendment, Chapter 23, Plan Preliminary Plat Requirements, Drainage Studies, and Plan Requirements. We get good notice?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Dennis.
Thank you. Again, Paula Dennison, Development Services. What we have before you this evening is a proposed text amendment. This and the one following were requested by the development community to staff, and staff has evaluated and reviewed this request. What in essence this does, when the Land Development Code was adopted in 2008, there was a requirement in the commercial use by right section, the preliminary plat section, and the drainage study and plan section that says if you're going to develop an individual piece of property, then the designer, surveyor, engineer, whomever needs to look outside of that property within a certain distance to see what systems, water, sewer, drainage, street, sidewalks, et cetera, that this development proposal will be connecting to. We were asked to reduce the distance of that requirement. It still provides more than adequate information for us to evaluate and for the designer to evaluate the impact to the system. Also, if there's a flood hazard area in the vicinity, we still have maintained the right to seek additional information so that we can verify no adverse impact.
I did notice in some of the proposed changes, on one of them, I remember specifically talking about from 75 feet to 25 feet, or as necessary to show the impact.
Yes.
That additional language, is that what you were describing right there?
Yes, it is. Mhm. If the impact is 30 feet away, we've got that, it's not a hard 25 feet that doesn't quite get us there, nor is it the 75 feet that goes too far.
Any questions of staff? Okay, well, we will open up the public hearing, and there have been no requests to speak, and so we will close the public hearing and ask for Planning Commission's recommendations.
Planning Commission does recommend approval of the text amendment as presented.
Any further questions of staff? Is there a motion on this Planning Commission recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
And Planning Commission recommendation is accepted 4-0. Takes us down to our next public hearing, and I've lost it on my agenda. Receive public comments regarding a proposed text amendment to Land Development Code, Chapter 23, Sections 23, 358, Sanitary Sewer Collection System. We get good notice?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Again, this was brought to our attention from the development community. What this amendment proposes is to allow another alternative to sewage disposal within the city of Stillwater. Currently, of course, the sanitary sewer is the requirement, and septic tanks are permitted under certain conditions. If it is completely impossible to connect to the sanitary sewer. What this does is allows the utilization of closed package systems on individual lots that will encourage infill and redevelopment. Subdivisions of land are still required to connect to the sanitary sewer if that connection point is within 300 feet and if it can gravity from the subdivision to the existing main. Otherwise, the city manager in this proposal is authorized to accept an alternative sewage disposal system design for subdivisions. One other thing I would like to note is that on these closed package systems, the minimum lot size when you have public water is 22,000 square feet, about half an acre. Without public water, it's about 32,000 or 3/4 of an acre. So it's not going to be on a 5,000 square foot lot that some of our zoning districts allow. You'll have the larger lot sizes. Where septic systems are allowed, because we do currently allow those inside the city, we are increasing that minimum lot size to 5 acres. The reason is because you have some recreational opportunities that the DEQ will not permit package systems for, and there's additional land for those type of uses for the lateral lines, et cetera. So recreational commercial that DEQ will not permit package systems for, and some industrial.
I did notice there, we're not allowing lagoons.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
When you're using this term package system, what does that mean?
It's similar to a septic system. The discharge of the water is going to be either through drip irrigation, which is very green, that's viewed as very sustainable, because you can actually irrigate your yard instead of having an irrigation system. And the other way to discharge the water is the spray mechanism. It looks like the head coming up on an irrigation system, and it just sprays the water after it has worked its way through and been treated in that underground closed package or that system.
Any questions of staff? Okay, we will open up the public hearing, and again, there's no one that has signed up to speak, and so we will close the public hearing and ask for planning commission recommendation.
On this one also, the Plan Commission does recommend approval of it as presented.
Questions or comments on this?
Now, if you have a lagoon, it is grandfathered?
That is correct.
The EQ approved, I should say.
I guess that's a good point. All our rules are all within DEQ's acceptance.
Yes, sir.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion a second to accept planning commission recommendation. And that is approved 4-0.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, and that takes us down to resolutions. Mr. Dorman.
Resolution CC 2013-19, a resolution approving the assignment and transfer of the franchise previously granted to the Oklahoma Natural Gas Company and the distribution system installed, operated, and maintained thereunder.
Galloway.
Yes, we met with officials from Oklahoma Natural Gas. Mr. Paul Veal is also here this evening from ONG. Oklahoma Natural Gas has operated as a division of One Oak for many, many, many years, and they were divisions of One Oak when franchise was granted. All of the operations currently or previously operated as ONG will be operated under One Gas Incorporated. So ONG has asked that this franchise be assigned to One Gas Incorporated. Nothing will change, same pipe, same gas, same operation. It's a change in ownership, and we'd recommend approval of this. If you have questions specifically about what's brought it about, I'm sure Mr. Wheeler would be glad to respond to those as well.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Is there a motion on resolution CC 2013-19?
I move to accept.
Second.
Motion and second on 2013-19. And that is adopted 4-0. Takes us down to resolution 2013-20. Mr. Dorman.
A resolution correcting a scrivener's error in resolution number CC 2013-15, authorizing the calling and holding of an election in the city of Stillwater.
Okay.
And just, I think the resolution is basically self-explanatory, but basically when I was putting this together, even though they had provided me the word southwest, I typed in the word southeast in the purposes, and so it's necessary to go ahead and change this. I have changed the notices already, and that has all been corrected. And the only other point I would make is this has absolutely no effect on the election whatsoever.
So simply a typo in that one document.
A typo in the grandest sense of the word. In fact, I even have the draft here that shows that I'm the guilty party.
Well, I appreciate you stepping up.
Move approval.
Second.
That's adopted 4-0. And that takes us down to our last resolution of the night, 2013-21.
A resolution confirming acceptance of Small Community Air Service Development Program Grant, docket number DOT OST 2013-0120 from United States Department of Transportation, and authorizing the mayor or vice mayor of the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma, to sign all certifications and other necessary documents relating to said grant.
Okay, again, we were fortunate to receive a grant. Gary Johnson has been working diligently on this in support of the airport board. The grant, as I believe, will be held for up to 2 years. Is that correct, Gary? 2 years. Should we secure an agreement for commercial air traffic out of Stillwater, this grant can then be applied to the cost of the airport to apply towards the modifications and preparation for that service. We don't have that secured yet. We diligently continue to talk to commercial airlines and hope to secure that sometime in the not-too-distant future. If you have any questions, I'm sure Mr. Johnson will be glad to address them, but we would recommend we accept this federal grant, and again, it will be held, and we won't be using it until such time as we have the qualification.
Any questions or discussion on this resolution?
Is there a timeline in which we need to use it?
2 years.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt resolution 2013-21. And that is adopted 4-0. Takes us down to ordinance 3243. Mr. Dorman.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land located at 1400 North Boomer Road from CG Commercial General District and RTM Residential Two-Family and Multifamily District to RMI PUD Residential Multifamily Intermediate Planned Unit Development.
This was our public hearing from last meeting, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions on this ordinance?
I move we approve ordinance number 3243.
Second.
Motion and second to approve 3243. And that passes 4-0. And then down on second reading, ordinance 3241.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land located at 424 East Thomas Avenue from IL Light Industrial District to CG Commercial General District.
Questions or comments on 3241?
I move approval.
Second.
Motion is second to approve 3241 on second reading. That is approved 4-0. Takes under our last ordinance of the evening 3242.
An ordinance closing a 40-foot portion of the right-of-way of Boomer Road at property addressed as 1400 North Boomer Road.
And I'd move approval of ordinance 3242.
And I'll second.
Motion is second to approve ordinance 3242 on second reading. That's also approved 4-0. Now take us down to miscellaneous items. Mr. Dorman,
Nothing to report tonight, sir.
Mr. Galloway?
Nothing really to a point, but I just want to reiterate and appreciate Mr. Roman getting the correction made in the proposition resolution. And just to assure anybody who was misled, there is nothing in the proposed bond issue that would construct anything on the east side of Boomer Lake. Everything's proposed on the southwest side corner. No one misunderstanding.
All right. Anything from any of the counselors?
Don't have anything.
Sir.
Okay. All I've got Vice Mayor for radio tomorrow on KSPI, 7:80 a.m. at 8:15, and then Counselor Weaver next Tuesday on KSPI, and then I'll be on Triple Play Radio this Wednesday. All right, anything for upcoming meetings? Okay, we don't have any appointments, so is there a motion to adjourn City Council?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn City Council. As approved 4-0, so we will adjourn City Council, and we will call to order the Stillwater Utility Authority's meeting for November 4th, 2013. On the consent docket, there are 3 items, A, B, and C. Does anyone wish to remove items A, B, or C? Not, is there a motion on the consent docket?
I move to accept.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the consent docket. And that is approved 4-0. And that'll take us down to request for executive session. Mr. Dorman.
Request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307B3 for the purpose of confidential communication regarding the purchase or appraisal of real property.
Time. Motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
And then 5:52.
Approved 4-0. We're moving into executive session.